Hello, everybody. So glad to meet you here. It's Alex, your career coach here at Uvaro, and we are back with the career coaching series. And today we are focusing on Canva. I hope anybody and everybody has heard of Canva, but it is an awesome tool, platform, app that you can use to design and invigorate your personal brand and really make your resume specifically come to life. So what we're going to do today, we're going to sit back, hang out with the wolves. You can see I got some wolves back here, and chat a little bit about how the design impacts your resume 150% times the power of infinity. Gone are the days of black and white resumes from the 90s where you mail it in and then you sit back and wait. Gone are the days that you just apply online and then sit back and wait. We always do our best to apply a strategy to everything that we're doing. And sometimes it starts with design. So let's get into it. The career coaching series. So let's get into it again. So let's get into it. The career coaching series here at Uvaro. What are we going to do today, and who are we? What we do, we offer online tech sales training. So we've got one-on-one mentoring. We have a paid residency or internship program. We have deferred tuition, career services, and lifetime support for members who join us. And so I, Alyx Parks, I take over and run the career services and programming department here at Uvaro. And this is a slice of what it is we actually teach to our class, whether it's 12-week program or a 4-week, to really invigorate and motivate and capture everything that you need to know to be great in your career, whether it's now, after the course, or beyond. We give you the tips and tricks and tools to be your best self. What are we going to cover today? So as I just talked about, we are using Canva to create a resume template. There's a paid version and there's a free version, but whatever it is that you choose, you're going to be able to create something that feels like you. So we're going to cover Canva as a tool, how we can help it enhance your resume and define, as I mentioned, your personal brand, adding creativity to your resume in the right places. There are tips and don'ts of design. And I think a couple of them are going to be a little surprising to you folks on what not to do. And we'll get into that. It's going to be, I think it's pretty funny. Specific templates to use for certain industries as well. Okay, so we're hanging out here in the tech industry. And that's going to be a different type of resume versus banking or a graphic design, a graphic design resume. So here in tech sales environment, it's going to be a little bit more based on storytelling with a little bit extra flair. And what to update on your resume for every individual job. Okay, so why would I add this and not that to a particular resume? I'm really excited to get in it to win it with you, and we're going to get going. So I'm going to switch my screen here, and I'm going to take you on a journey to canva.com. First thing that you do, pop that into the old URL and take a look at how busy it is. A lot of people don't use Canva, or they're afraid to use it because it's so much. There's so many things that you can create that's separate from just your resume. So if we go into templates, you're going to see social media, personal, business, marketing, education, trading, so many categories and topics. But we are going to just go into resumes specifically. Now, for your career, there are multiple things that you can do that are going to enhance your online presence. So whether that's an infographic or a Facebook post or a LinkedIn banner, maybe a proposal or a newsletter, so many things here we are able to use. And so please don't think that Canva is solely for just a resume. There are a lot of things and a lot of value adds that can go into your job hunt. And this is exactly what it is that we focus on here at Uvaro, and we want to make you your best well-rounded self. But for today, we're going to go under the personal column and click resumes. So when we do that, it's going to pull up professional resume templates, but to browse by category. So the first tip here, whether you're in sales or really anything that comes to being in tech or really any other vertical, please do everything you can not to get too crazy. Okay, so too crazy here, I'm going to point out Donna. See how it's black and pink and these really, really interesting graphics? While it looks really beautiful, it's going to be hard to put your information on here and believe that it's going to come out super well and sexy. Okay, so I would stay away from the ones that just look overly graphic and a little too intense. This tip is important because your resume gets a 3-second scan. That's it. It's very, very short. It's very minimal. And if the audience who is reading your resume is looking at all the graphics and the design and it's a little too much, it's going to distract them away from the actual information that's embedded within the document. And that's what we want them to look at. Okay, so try not to go, nah, look at this, before they actually look at the meat and potatoes of why you are awesome. Okay, that is probably my biggest tip, because everybody who starts using Canva wants to go super fun, super crazy, really intense, because it should be fun. Building something should be fun, right? Now, up here, you have multiple categories. So you've got modern, simple, infographic, minimalist. Then you've got corporate or creative, colorful, acting. You've got graphic design or college. There's so many different things that you've got here, right? But those are all different. So right now, we want to just choose no matter where you are at. Some of you, I think, are in fintech. We've got people in sales. We've got folks who are product managers. Then we have people that are in construction, that are in manufacturing and totally different areas. And so you might be a little confused and think, well, there isn't a category here that really fits me, but there are. So based on the tip that I had just told you, we want to focus on simple and minimalist type of categories for your resume. So if we go into just, let's say, simple, they are not going to just look simple, okay? They are going to look colorful with graphics and very, very exciting. So as you can tell from this page versus the other page, there are some that are a little bit more dialed down. There are some like Mariana here that's a little bit more in your face, a little bit more specifically colorful, but there are hundreds of templates that you can use. Now, some of these say paid. Alex, what do I do? Definitely use your filtering system. So the best thing about Canva is that you can scroll down and click free. Pick the ones that are free unless you subscribe. It's definitely not expensive. It's a monthly fee, and you get access to a lot of different features, especially when we're actually going to jump in and start designing. But if you go ahead and click free, it's going to pull up a lot of the free versions, as you can see at the bottom here. A lot of the free versions that you can go that cost absolutely nothing to go and edit. Okay. You have minimal, photo, border. You can specifically look for ones that have a photo if you're feeling it. If you take a really cool selfie or you have a really nice professional photo done, search for those if you want to add one in. I often get a question. Here is my second tip, and this is a little bit focused towards your resume versus Canva, but everybody asks me, should I put a photo on my resume or should I not put a photo? Do photos look silly? Do they look not modern or a little too relaxed? Or I don't want people to see what I look like. I'm embarrassed. both of those are very valid and very, very acceptable in your resume. So you could have a photo or you could not have a photo. So my biggest tip here is to make 2 resumes. And this is where Canva really shines. You can take an example template with a photo, dump all of your information into it, pick another one really quick that you're like, oh, I really liked this one as well, and make a different resume, drag and drop, put your information in, and then you have 2 side by side, photo and no photo. Maybe it's a different design. Maybe one's a little bit more funky. Maybe one's a little bit more minimalist. And what you have now is an A/B test. A/B testing we can go into in another workshop a little bit more in depth. But what this essentially means is that you are going to be testing each one to see what makes more sense and what's working. Okay? It's really, really interesting if you can start to collect data on what it is that you're building and to see what people are gravitating a little bit more towards. So maybe you're going to see a lot of, wow, this resume was really beautiful. I've never seen one like that before. Or, oh, wow, I really like this version. It was clean. It was well done. Once you start to hear that feedback and you're asking for it around, you're going to know which one to use. And you don't have to go through the pain of choosing. So that's what I really love, especially when it comes to Canva. So I've gone ahead and picked a couple. So I'm going to go ahead and just zoom in a little bit here. So we picked a category. We picked simple. There are a few things that I really want to point out. So this is as simple really as you can get. It's a nice layout. It's got a nice colorful banner. And the nice thing about Canva is that they are drag and drop. So you can essentially take this title and this name and move it all around. Not everybody here is a designer. I can almost guarantee that. But if you see the purple line, if you were dragging around and you see the purple lines show up, what this means is that you are centered. And so it is a genuine helper, this tool, to help navigate you into the perfect position where your title or your name needs to be. Okay. So when you actually go ahead and you get in, I want you to first scroll your mouse over all of the different aspects of the resume. I want you to take a look at your resume that you've chosen, and I want you to really see, is the layout exactly how I want it? Another tip, pick a template that you don't have to do a lot of shifting of elements. For example, in the resume, creative resume workshop that we will be doing, you will learn that employers want to see experience before education. And so if we take a look at an example that there might be elements we want to move around, it's going to be harder for you and it's going to likely look a little bit different if you're not really used to this design aspect. Okay, so for example, with Amelia, this is a different template. It's also a simple template. It's free. It looks fine. It looks nice, but there's a couple things on here that we want to take a look at. I don't, as a career coach, love that education is sitting as one of the first things that I see. If you can recall, people read, we're not Da Vinci, we read from left to right. So the first thing I see is about me. I like that. That makes me happy, especially if you've got a really good, invigorated about me section that's fitting under your personal brand, which we also cover. But if people really want to see it, the next thing that they read is education. But I want the first thing that I read to be experience. And so naturally, what I want to do is to take education and move it. And so if we do that, I'm going to lower this a bit so you can see the full. If we take education and we try and move it, we don't really have a place to put it because it's just not set in stone, right? So I have to put it to the side here so I can then change the way the layout of the resume looks. And this is harder. This is much more work versus picking a template and spending time going through as many as you can to look at it and say, that's perfectly how I want it done. I'm going to go ahead and plug everything in, and I didn't have to move a lot of elements. Okay. Now, should I want to do that, you have the ability to change the way it looks. So this about me, we don't want them to be boxed anymore. So we want to go ahead and pull the side of it out to make it in line with the purple lines. This all of a sudden frees up space for us to take the experience section and bump it up. Okay. Now, one thing, please note and take a look at this. We're going to get technical for 2 seconds. Experience, the date, and the information, these are all separate elements. This is going to be exceptionally difficult to move all together. Okay, so we have to move them up one by one. That seems a little frustrating. You could either click on the white section of the back of the resume and drag so that all of the elements in experience are highlighted. Okay, this is the easiest way to do this. So we are going to have them highlighted, and we are going to go up. Nope, we're not going to do that either. Doesn't seem to want to work for me today, but we are going to go ahead, highlight that, and we're going to click it and move it up as a group. See how the whole thing then shifts? This is extremely, extremely beneficial if you want to move a bunch of elements together that are not already grouped. Okay. We are now opening up a little bit more room, but as you can see, we are still very crowded. We're still very crowded. And so this starts to get difficult when it comes to shifting all of our elements. And so this is going to actually land you a heck of a lot more time and effort to pick a template that there's going to be a lot of movement. So I've then now moved the About Me. I'm highlighting and moving up the experience again, making sure that I'm keeping them in the purple lines. Now I can grab my education, take a look at the purple line, and then align it. Okay, so this naturally looks a little bunched together. So we're going to move it up to give us some breathing room to make sure that our resume looks a little bit more clean. Tip number 3. There's a lot of tips in here, but tip number 3. Below here, you can see skills. I'm going to drag and highlight. I'm going to move skills so they align a little bit better. But what's fascinating, this is what's called a skills matrix. You are going to see in Canva a lot of templates that have these. These are something that the graphic design world has developed and then enjoyed and then decided to use them on resumes. Now, as a career coach and an ex-recruiter and somebody who has hired people for a very long time, when I take a look at these bars indicating your finesse in these certain tools, and I see that you're not great at illustration and videography, that doesn't make me feel good. Because in this job, I need somebody who's awesome at illustration and videography. Not a lot of people want to put a skills matrix and put them all at 100%. because then it wouldn't be a matrix. It wouldn't make sense. So they naturally have to say, oh, well, I guess I'm not as good at illustration. So I'm going to go ahead and instead of it be at 100, let me zoom in so I can show you. Instead of it being at 100% like this, I'm going to put it to about here to showcase that I'm still working on this. Let's not do that. Our skills are our skills, and they shouldn't be judged based on a really interesting portion of a resume that looks design friendly. Do not get caught up in that action. This is the number one thing that I see people get caught up in. And I will sit and go over the resume and say, why are you bad at prospecting and cold calling versus building a cadence and communicating? And they'll be like, oh, well, I couldn't put the bars all to full 100, so I had to let go of something. I never want you to let go of any skill in any capacity. If it's a 1% difference, it makes a difference if it's showcased on your resume. Okay, so the better thing to do, if you want to get rid of multiple elements, press down the shift key, click, and click. And we're going to go with a hot delete. Let's do it again. Click, press shift, click them all, delete. Let's take this and move it over. Interesting. One other thing that I want to mention, okay? Your skills now look like skills. They look like, hey, I'm not judging myself. No one's judged me on my finesse at these skills. They're just listed here as things that I can do. So graphic design, great. Illustration, awesome at it. Videography, you betcha. No one's questioning. No one's thinking, oh, they're not that good at that, so maybe I should judge this resume a little bit more. Okay? Now, what this does is it opens up more space for your resume. And so what we can do is we can add another section. What do we add? One thing that people do not do that makes me cry is they don't add in hobbies or fun facts about themselves. So what we're going to do, we are going to, let's see. Whoop, no, we're not. We are going to click skills. If it works for me, that would be great. And we're going to press down the command key. And then we are going to long press command and click D. That is duplicate. Duplicate is going to be your best friend. So if we do it one more time, I clicked to highlight the name that I want to duplicate. I long press the command key, and at the same time, I press the letter D. And then that's going to duplicate one of these elements. So in that sense, we're going to take this, put that down, and we are going to add another section here. So we want to keep it at the same level as skills. We're going to follow that line, that purple line. See how that showed you how to do it? And we are going to change what this says, and we're going to create another section called hobbies. Now, I want to show you what just happened here. This moved. The S moved down. There's no more room. People will leave it like that. It's surprising because they can't figure out how to change it, which makes a lot of sense because there's not a lot of direction on Canva if you're just jumping on to use it. There's a lot of there's a lot of tutorials, but if you are pressed for time and you want to figure it out, it's best to just play around. So what we're going to do, we're just going to elongate the box again. If we make it small, it will move like so, versus if we make it a little bit bigger, we can put hobbies. Okay. So instead of going and saying, well, I'm going to go and add a text box, this side left corner here, a list of all the elements that you can add in. And so multiple people will say, okay, well, I need to add a little bit of body text. We just learned the power of duplicate, so we don't need to do that. So we're going to go back here and we are going to highlight this little box. We're going to long press Command, press D, and then we've duplicated that section again. So this was very, very quick to be able to duplicate exactly what it is that we need to do for this new section versus starting from scratch. Okay, so then here we could type in something like fly fishing, because that's my hobby. We could do photography, or let's just say nature lover. And what's something interesting? Maybe musician. Now, if you want to add another little element of surprise, make sure you always zoom out so you could see how everything is looking. I think this might need to be aligned a little bit more, so we're going to align it down. You can see from afar how it's looking, and we can play around with it a little bit more. But do we like the way it's looking? We're not sure. Let's see what we do if we want to create a call to action. Okay, so the last thing that you should know about Canva is if we take a look at the elements section again, we want to add something. There in under hobbies, we put musician. Oh, that works. We can add in a recently used, or we could search for anything that has to do with music that we want to add as a graphic into our resume. There are free versions and they are paid versions. So if we go free, it comes out as white because the graphic that you chose was white. So we're going to come up top to the color and we are going to make it black. And your element is right there that you've been able to add. So let us scrunch it down a little bit more to make it in good size. Don't forget, when you hover over your element, you can twist it and turn it by using the little rotate button. We can make it any size we want. Let's go like this and stick it over beside musician. We can make this look really big and push it to where it needs to be. And there you go. You've added a little element of surprise next to your section. Okay, so this is technical. It's all about adding. It's about learning some tricks on how to operate a resume really well in a platform that's built for design. Now, we do have some questions that did come in. So we're going to go over back to the Q&A portion here. We had some really good questions pop in. What if I'm not good at design? Canva is an awesome place to start if you're feeling a little unsure because it does the design for you. I wanted to really talk about this tutorial and show you how you can move elements, you can duplicate, and you can shift to give you a little bit more of a leg up and a tutorial on how easy it can be with a little bit of practice. But at the end of the day, there are hundreds of templates that you can pick from that literally all you need to do is delete what's in the box and then add in what your flavor is, what experience you have, what your name is. And when you go ahead and you add in any elements, it's all on the left-hand side for you. And that's where you can really learn and shine. What I would love for everybody to do is if you decide to go and build a resume on Canva, please please connect with me on LinkedIn and go ahead and send me the link, or you can share it with me at my email and I will be able to go in and take a look. Or if you want to send me a PDF screenshot of it, I'll be happy to give you feedback on how you've done. Okay. Thank you for that question, because you don't have to be fantastic with design in order to do a really, really great resume. The second question that we got, isn't a funky template better for attention? A lot of people ask me this, don't I want to stand out from the 200, 300 other resumes that are in the tracking systems or are coming at hiring managers? And while I always say, yeah, of course, you want to be different, it's always remembering that first tip of, if you make it too funky, too colorful, too many elements, too many icons, where your eye can't land in a specific spot, that is what's going to be taken notice versus the content that you've been able to put in there. It's always about the content. The rest is for flourish, for branding, and to show a little bit more of your personality. And trust me, most people are not making a creative resume and they are not using Canva. Okay, so if there's one thing to take away from that, it's that most people are not doing this. So even if you choose minimalist or simplistic and you add some color and you add some elements, it's going to be that much better. You don't have to go too crazy. And the last question here, and this one I love, do applicant tracking systems not recognize designed resumes? I've heard, this person had said earlier, I have heard that when you submit a resume online, if it's designed, if it's a PDF, if it has graphics, that the tracking system algorithm won't suck it up and then recognize the skills that you've put in there. Okay. This is not a thing anymore. We have got unbelievable tracking systems now from Lever, from Greenhouse, from Jazz, all of these great platforms that are now recognizing platforms like Canva and PDFs and color and graphics, because we are not just sitting back and putting black and white resumes together anymore. Okay, so don't be fearful of the applicant tracking system. And this leads me into making sure that everybody tunes in to these workshops, because we will be doing job search strategy where we learn. We never lead with our resume. This is a value add. This is something that ahead and we can be excited about showing. That's just a window into what we've done and who we are. We always lead with ourselves. And so this will take us into the journey of LinkedIn and prospecting for your career. And I cannot wait to have that workshop and have everybody tune in. Okay. This was fun, but what's next? We have an awesome website, and I would really love for everybody to check it out. We have new events, Step into Tech, that are going to be coming up. They're 2-hour tech sales masterclasses, and they are every Wednesday from 6 to 8 p.m. EST. So if you're curious about what it is that we do and you want to learn more to really land a great sales job, learn more about us, about the career coaching aspect as well, please sign up for Step into Tech. It's fantastic. We do have Demo Day coming up again, where our graduating students, I should say, come and they showcase what they've learned. And so that's coming up November 11th from 6 to 8 p.m. EST. Our recruits are going to be showcasing their awesome skills, and they're going to battle it out for the best demo of the day. Our next live tutorial in this series is coming up Wednesday, November 17th, and it's going to be from 12 to 12:30 EST. I cannot wait to be back with you again. Again, these are super fun for me to do. Please go ahead, connect with me on LinkedIn, and send me your resumes. I really want to know what they're like. Bye.